I don't want to sound too dramatic, but we live in a scary time. A time of misinformation. So when a friend of mine sent this picture, which roughly translates to fun fact, when the world made a transition to the Gregorian calendar in the 1500s, we skipped 8 years in the transition. So technically, we're in 2012. I was like, heck no. Heck no. I knew that. It had something to do with popes and Roman emperors, I think. Well, here's the thing. I didn't remember the reason why. I just remember it was false. So after giving it way too much thought and wasting too many hours researching, I decided to make a video about it because apparently I have too much free time and there is a pandemic outside. I'm telling you, scary times. Let's begin from the start, shall we? If you didn't know, our calendar is called the Gregorian calendar, and it was made to replace the previous one called the Julian calendar, named after our favorite military dictator of all time, Julius Caesar. So anyway, the Gregorian calendar was introduced by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582, hence the name. It just makes you think if kings and popes just wanted to put their names on things, right? But why Mr. Gregory the Pope wanted to make a new calendar? Well, there's the thing. It was not a completely new calendar, it was a revision from the Julian one, and the revision was made because Easter, the calculation of the date of Easter to be precise. So, how did they calculate Easter? Well, the date of Easter was roughly calculated about the first full moon on or after the 21st of March in a process called computus. I oversimplified there for a minute, but just know that it was a little more complicated than that. So, if they already had a date for Easter, what was the problem? Well, the problem arose in that the year is not exactly 365 days. It actually is 365.24219. Which is 365 plus 6 hours, give or take a couple of minutes. Our friend Caesar knew this. You know, he was like super smart. So he introduced the leap year to balance that date lost. You know, that time every 4 years when you add a day to February, with the only difference that a Roman leap year was every 3 years, not 4. And the thing is that this helped only in the short term, because the Julian year wasn't that accurate either. It contained 365.25 days, which means that after 128 years, the calendar would be a full day ahead of the actual rotation of the Earth. Sure, it wasn't an issue in 45 BC, but after 1600 years those numbers started to stack up. So when our boy Gregory wanted to calculate the date of Easter, he was 11 days off from the canonical date. 11 days. Imagine missing Christ's resurrection for almost 2 weeks. A lot of people were obviously angry about this, including famous man with a grudge, Dante Alighieri, and an English dude with bacon in his name. So Pope Greg didn't miss the chance to put his name on things, and he made the new calendar revision that fixed this issue, and it solved it by changing how leap years work. Those new rules are as follows, and please just bear with me for a minute, okay? Every year that is exactly divisible by 4 is a leap year, except for years that are exactly divisible by 100. But these centurial years are leap years if they are exactly divisible by 400. This fixed the issue. The number of days in a Gregorian year is 365.2425, which is less than the 365.25 from the Julian year and is really close to the 365.24219 in a solar year mentioned earlier. But there was still the little problem that there were still 11-ish days lost to the sands of time. So Greggy was like, so what if we just skip the next 10 days? Because that was completely how he sounded like. So After its implementation, the world went from Thursday 4th October 1582 to Friday 15th October 1582. Well, at least the Catholic world. There were a bunch of kingdoms and countries that took their sweet little while to make the transition over the centuries. Just hear this. There is a myth that when the British Empire made the switch in 1752, people rioted against the change with the slogan, "Give us our 11 days back," immortalized in this nice painting. Saudi Arabia just made the switch in 2016, almost 500 years after its creation. So, no, not because the world is falling apart means that we're in 2012. We just only gained 11 days. I hope that you enjoyed my first video. Please leave a like if you did, and leave a comment telling me what did you think. Subscribe if you want to follow what's next in my next video, which I don't know when would that be. Yeah, these things take a lot of time to edit, but yeah, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe.